Hi everyone, my name is Ananya Bhattacharjee. I am a PhD candidate in computer science at the University of Toronto, and I'm going to talk about our paper, Understanding the Role of Large Language Models in Personalizing and Scaffolding Strategies to Combat Academic Procrastination. This project was a collaboration between researchers from University of Toronto, Northwestern University, and Microsoft Research. Now let's get started. Procrastination can be defined as the intentional delay of tasks despite known negative consequences. It is especially widespread in academic settings, and prior research indicates that at least half of all college students engage in chronic procrastination. Such behavior can negatively impact students' academic performance and overall well-being. Researchers have developed a range of interventions for procrastination management, some of which focus on time management, task completion, and personalized motivation. However, a recurring critique of existing interventions is their frequent inability to address the complex, individualized factors that contribute to procrastination. Factors such as conflicting responsibilities, family duties, or personal goals are often challenging to incorporate into design. These diverse, unaddressed factors eventually create a sense of anxiety and exacerbate procrastination among students. In our work, we are interested in exploring whether large language models or LLMs can address some of these existing problems with procrastination management strategies. We are excited by several potential capacities of LLMs. Firstly, users can engage in open-ended conversations with LLMs. It makes it easier for them to express unique circumstances like their academic goals, conflicting responsibilities, or social determinants of mental health. LLMs have also been used to generate personalized advice and suggestions. For example, researchers have already developed adaptive tutors that consider student skills and grades. LLMs also have the potential to facilitate personalized learning journeys based on their goals. LLMs can also act as supportive scaffolds. For example, researchers have developed LLM-based microlearning experiences where students can learn complex scientific concepts. And also, there has been recent development on designing structured reflective activities for different mental health and psychology applications. These promises, however, are not without potential challenges. LLMs currently lack subjectivity, meaning they can't innately perceive emotional states or complexity of human lives without some kind of input. There also exists a lack of knowledge about which intervention elements users may wish to personalize. Researchers are still figuring out where users express the need for support and how to structure interactions with LLMs that enable users to communicate their needs and circumstances. There are also some ethical considerations and guardrails that we need to explore. For example, where should the LLMs not intervene? Or what are some potential conflicts between user demands and expert opinions? These challenges and promises motivate us to set two research questions for this study. How do users envision the role of LLMs in tailoring strategies for managing academic procrastination? And what challenges or tensions might arise when people use LLMs for tailoring strategies to manage academic procrastination? To investigate these research questions, we did a multi-phase study. First, we developed a functional technology probe to gather informed feedback from users. Our primary goal was not to propose and validate its design. Instead, we aimed to understand the features and affordances users would find valuable in such a tool. We believed that asking participants to generate design ideas in a vacuum could be challenging, and that is why we provided them with the probe to elicit more informed responses. We developed Spark, a web-based tool that utilizes GPT-4 to offer context-specific advice for managing procrastination. This tool was iteratively developed by a multidisciplinary research team. This tool had 4 components which we will elaborate upon in the next few slides. These components were seed message, interface options to generate context-specific messages by LLMs, prompting future action, and instructions and examples. As you can see, our tool initially presented participants with a message grounded in the existing literature on procrastination management strategies. This message served as a generic blueprint for addressing procrastination and involved a few strategies from prior work on procrastination management. Next, we provided interface options to generate context-specific messages by LLM. To gather nuanced insights into the challenges individuals face, we provided users with an open-ended text box where they could freely share details they considered relevant. Users also had the option to specify the tone, directedness, and length of the LLM-generated message. They could choose whether or not to include specific instructions for addressing their situation, as well as select specific prompts for generating the message. These options were informed by prior literature on personalized advice. Participants also had the option to make open-ended requests to change the generated message, as well as edit the message themselves. To foster proactive behavior and facilitate the translation of intentions into tangible actions, we implemented a feature that requested participants to draft an email to their future selves. Participants were given the autonomy to draft their future-oriented email independently. Our aim was to facilitate reflection at various temporal stages of their goals, from the immediate future to more distant timeframes, thereby enabling incremental action planning. Participants also had the flexibility to make open-ended requests for editing their drafts. They could also utilize specific keywords to conceptualize their future actions more effectively. Lastly, throughout the probe, participants were offered instructions and sample inputs for open-ended response boxes. The aim of providing these guidelines was to steer the participant toward relevant and effective suggestions. For instance, we supplied a set of example templates that they could use as a starting point for creating custom prompts. In the next stage, we recruited 15 university students who engaged with Spark in a single session and provided recommendations for desirable features. To obtain additional professional perspectives, we also conducted interviews with 6 experts. They offered additional insights on design tensions and user needs for LLM-based procrastination management tools. We recruited 15 university students and 6 experts for our study. The student participants were required to be between the ages of 18 and 25, currently enrolled at a university and residing in North America. Additionally, they had to self-identify as at least average procrastinators, scoring 25 or higher according to the irrational procrastination scale. Experts needed to hold postgraduate degrees in clinical psychology, cognitive psychology, or learning and education. We had participants from 2 genders and multiple racial groups. We conducted a thematic analysis of transcripts and notes from interviews and focus group sessions. From our analysis, 5 themes emerged that we are going to talk about in the next few slides. Participants wish to receive structured guidance from the system to carry out their tasks. They were looking for hierarchical task lists with reasonings and links to external resources. P8 compared this experience with following instructions from a cooking recipe. Experts complemented this finding with the suggestion that immediate tasks should contain more explanation to avoid user overwhelm, and as users complete each step, new steps can come up with more details. However, experts are also concerned about potential over-reliance on LLMs, and they suggested that LLMs should not spoon-feed precise answers or solutions in each cases. Participants appreciated the probe's ability to allow them to draft future emails to themselves. For better management of deadlines, they expressed an interest in integrating a tool like ours into their daily workflow. Some of them suggested integrations with platforms they already use for professional purposes, such as Google Calendar, Microsoft Teams, and Slack. Some participants also offered thoughts regarding the optimal frequency and timing of reminders. For instance, P6 emphasized the importance of receiving motivational cues significantly ahead of an impending deadline to prevent last-minute rushes. However, opinions varied when discussing the nature and quantity of questions the tool used to probe users for more information. Some participants advocated for a guided approach featuring a sequence of open-ended questions, believing it would help them frame their responses. As P7 said, a sequence could look like, what is something you are putting off for today? How has that made you feel? What made you feel this way? Conversely, other participants were concerned that a sequence of questions could serve as a new avenue for procrastination. P2 emphasized the potential to overwhelm users with numerous prompts, especially during initial interactions with the platform. The recognition and acknowledgement of users' emotions emerged as a significant theme. Participants recognized that discussion of procrastination could lead to revelations about mental states, and in such cases, they expressed the need for emotional support. However, experts advised caution regarding the prospect of LLMs taking on roles similar to therapists. Their concern stemmed from the possibility that these models could provide advice that may lack clinical validity. They recommended that the tools should only simply recognize users' emotion while clearly communicating their limitations in providing therapeutic support. Finally, participants desired guidance on how to best phrase their responses to get the tool to behave as they anticipated. They expressed strong desire to see concrete examples of inputs and outputs of successful interactions. Extending on this idea, participants proposed the idea of adding a collaborative element so that users could help one another optimally using the tool. Participants also expressed an interest in providing feedback on the advice generated by the tool so that it would work better for them in the future. It could be through a simple star rating system where users can provide feedback on qualities like relevance or applicability of the LLM generated advice. So, going back to our research questions, we answered the first research question by revealing three potential ways of interaction. Our study reiterates the importance of breaking down larger tasks into more manageable components, and LLMs emerge as particularly adept for this purpose. Participants in our study also highlighted the necessity for deadline-oriented interactions facilitated by LLMs as a means of seamlessly integrated into their daily academic activities. Lastly, they also expressed interest in learning from others' example to both navigate our LLM-based tool and to learn about effective strategies for combating procrastination. Our work also sheds light on the potential design tensions and challenges. Findings align with recent skepticism among clinicians regarding the suitability of LLMs for emotional counseling and therapeutic support. The experts also expressed concerns about the potential for LLMs to become over-reliant on LLM-based tools. Finally, we recognize the design tension regarding the extent of guidance users may wish to see when describing their situation. In conclusion, LLMs have the potential to address individual and social factors in academic procrastination. To investigate this possibility, we conducted interviews and focus groups with 15 students and 6 experts using a technology probe. We identified a need for structured, deadline-oriented LLM tool guidance adaptable to user schedules, and we recommend cautious LLM use for emotional support. Our work highlights the nuanced ways in which users can engage with LLM-based tools. It showcases human AI collaboration in tackling widespread procrastination challenges. endorses LLM's potential for socially intelligent cooperative interactions, and our work adds to discussions on ethically deploying AI in sensitive applications. Thanks a lot for your attention.